no Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter, no TikTok, no TV for 40 days. What on earth do you do with all that time? Hey guys, welcome back to my page, Fearfully and Wonderfully Made. I'm Mia, and today I'm going to be getting into what my 40-day fast was like. Just to preface the video, I do want to say I don't think that social media in and of itself is a bad thing. It is nice to, check up with your friends, to be able to see what's going on, what they're doing, what they're up to. I think that part of social media is really great. And when I say social media fast, there were other things involved that we fasted. I don't want to say that it was a technology fast because we did still have our phones. We were still able to do things like that, but it wasn't limited to just social media. With that being said, from being on the other side of a social media fast or a technology fast, just to be mindful of how much time you're spending on social media or on technology in general in comparison to how much time you spend in the Word, praying, listening to sermons, listening to like biblical podcasts, or watching, videos on YouTube about our faith or things like that. For me, I think that was probably one of the most eye-opening things about doing the social media fast. I feel like we are in a very high-paced society, and I feel like adding the phone and to just have something that's always entertaining us. If we don't like something, you just scroll, you have something else. That entire concept, I feel like in my life, I'm constantly feeling like I'm too busy to do things. And I realized very quickly during the social media fast that I had so much time that I was dedicating to scrolling on Instagram first thing in the morning. With all of that being said, why did we do a social media fast to begin with? Diving into that, my husband and I actually had a huge hurdle in our marriage. We weren't really sure what to do about it. So, of course, reaching out to my biblical community, one of the first things that was recommended for us to do was to fast. So during this time, we're like, all right, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to set up this 40-day fast? So we decided that we would get rid of all social media apps. We would not watch any TV, no shows. There was no video games or any digital gaming, anything. And then lastly, limiting our screen time overall throughout the day. So those were the 4 things that we did as far as what our fast included. On the outside of that, I will say there were several things that I seen coming out of this fast. Number 1, there was a huge impact on my mental health. With that being said, that alone had several components. So A being, garbage in, garbage out. I very quickly realized, how much toxicity I was allowing into my life, just with the people that I would follow, what kind of shows that I was watching, just the different things that were influencing my life on a consistent daily basis. Having all of that stripped away and only having positive things that we could listen to. So during our fast, we were able to listen to, biblical podcasts, listening to, worship songs. That also was another component of the fast. We weren't allowed to listen to any secular music. But with that being said, having all that positivity in, it does just change your attitude and your mood throughout the day. Whereas before the fast, I would wake up first thing in the morning, checking Instagram, checking Facebook, clearing out the notifications. Whereas during the fast, when I got up, the first thing I would do would be to put on, a podcast or to listen to a worship playlist or to pray, do a devotional, read the Bible. Like all of the things that I was doing at the beginning of my day are now completely different than when I had my phone and I had, social media and I would just go on because it was a lot easier to access. With that being said, the second impact on my mental health was not being so inundated with comparisons. I remember telling my friends when I was getting close to the end of the 40 days that the biggest issue that I had going back to social media was that, I do follow a lot of people that are in my sphere. And not to say that it's a bad thing, because like I said, I love catching up with people. I love seeing, what's going on in people's lives. But it is so easy to fall into that trap of comparing your life to other people's highlights. Just little happy snippets of your life are not all encompassing of what is going on in someone's day to day. So definitely since being back, I've been very mindful of how comparisons do impact my mental health and not spending so much time scrolling through my newsfeed. We're not called to be, desiring all of the things that our neighbor has. So I have been really intentional about that since coming back to social media. But before I wrap this up, I will just say one of the other things that has impacted my mental health was just that I was a lot more restful. When you constantly have social media, there's always something to do or look up. Whereas I felt like during my fast, I did have a lot of downtime, just to be in prayer, take a nap, whatever it is. I just felt like I had so much more free time because I wasn't waking up and spending the first half hour of my day on my phone or whatever. The second biggest thing to come out of my social media fast was the decision to share my journey on YouTube and on social media in general. It was a big decision after being away from social media for 40 days to come back and decide to start doing YouTube. And honestly, a big part of that was because one of my friends had shared a video from Melena. She's also a Christian YouTube creator, but I really resonated during my social media fast with her podcast. So basically, Melena and her husband Jordan do a podcast called As For Me in My House. And during my 40-day social media fast, me and my husband essentially replaced binging TV with binging their podcast. I literally went all the way down to the first episode and just listened to them. I would go on an hour walk, listen to a podcast. If I went to the gym, I would listen to their podcast. Honestly, that was one of the biggest reasons why I did decide to come back to social media in a creator role, and that I am so inspired to share more of my faith and to talk about my faith and to talk about what I'm learning and how I'm growing as a wife for other wives who maybe don't like reading, or maybe nobody else has ever said these things to them. Honestly, I think that was probably the biggest thing that came from doing a social media fast, is just deciding that when I came back to social media, I would come back to share my faith and to be very real and to be very raw and just to share my journey and what's going on in my life. With all of that being said, this is something that, my husband and I did early September, October, and that was right before I decided to launch my YouTube. Now, having been on the other side of that for a couple of months, I am looking back and starting to see some of the things that I want to re-implement in my day-to-day life. For instance, not watching as much TV. I feel like I did kind of backslide in that. Starting a few days ago, I made the decision that I am gonna stop watching TV again. Not that I think that TV is inherently a bad thing, it's just that for me it is an issue, but I can definitely do a separate video talking more on why I've made that decision, what that means for me, and what that actually looks like. But my challenge for you guys is to really think, like, what are you putting off in this time period that you could start today? We don't need to wait until January 1st in order to start implementing things in our life that would be beneficial for us. We can start today. So whether that's eating healthy or watching less TV or watching, less TikTok and spending more time in the Bible, spending more time praying. Maybe you want to start journaling, like whatever it is that you're putting off, would just encourage you guys to do that today. So definitely before you go, be sure to drop down below. Let me know what you are going to stop putting off and what you're going to start today. But also, before you leave, make sure to smash that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know as soon as my next video is up and available. I will be posting at least 2 videos a week, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. But until then, be blessed, and I'll see you guys next time.